Bushnell Spypoint, what's the best one? We're gonna put these two cameras head to head so you can get an idea of what's gonna be best for you. And one of the cool features that these have is I can actually connect this to my and stick towards the end. I'll fill you in on what that sneaky little feature is and which camera I think is probably gonna be the best fit for you. We are gonna put these two cameras head to head in a comparison in terms of price, usability, setup, and the functionality of both, the quality and features they both have, and what's going to be required of you to get these set up and use them. And the big thing of this video I want to make sure you get out of this is what you can do to get the best results. So both of them, super easy to set up. Really, really simple. But they do require you to download each brand's app, which really easy to download and start using, and it walks you through the basic steps to get these running for you. And they're really easy to set up, period. I mean, you can usually get these set up within a few minutes. The trick is, for both cameras, is just making sure you have the signal and getting the signal connected between your phone and the camera. And you're always going to deal with some sort of connectivity issues because you're usually in rural areas. So that's just something you're going to have to play around with in getting connectivity with your cameras. So that's something to kind of think about with these. This one, both AT&T and Verizon built right in. You don't have to pick or choose. It does it automatically and picks the best signal. These ones in the past, you got to make sure you have the right camera. This one, I believe, is a Verizon version, but both have worked. I'm using these in great service areas for the most part, but through listings and this and that, I've used them in poor conditions and they can get very frustrating. Now, both of these cameras are pretty well priced. I mean, for 150 bucks, you can get this, an SD card, and that solar power panel that goes and connects into the camera. 150 bucks, pretty decently reasonable. You will have to get a subscription plan to get pictures sent to your phone. This one, the first month, they usually give you free pictures, unlimited pictures and everything, right to your phone without paying the first month, 30 days. But after that, it's 15 bucks for unlimited use. That gets expensive very fast. So I like to just use the subscriptions when I need it. Maybe running subscriptions for a few months when I want to get pictures all the time. On the Spypoint, similar thing. The cool thing with Spypoint, though, is there is a free version. So you can go buy these. I bought this one for like 100 and some odd bucks. You can get them for down to like 60 to 70 bucks. And I'll send links to both of these so you can go check them out and make your own decision. But with the solar panel and SD cards and stuff with them, they're very similar price, around that same 120, 150, somewhere in there. So very competitively priced cell cams. Quality wise, here's a Spypoint camera. Day, night pictures, variety of both. I think Spypoint does an okay at daylight. It just doesn't always seem like I'm getting the best detail. Same with night, but I think I get a little bit better quality at night. But at the same rate, most of the deer are always moving when I get pictures in the areas I'm putting these cameras. So you're gonna get blurry images a lot of times and you're gonna get less quality. It's just how it is. It's a 10 megapixel camera and then it gets compressed and then sent to your phone. So it's just gonna be semi-lackluster if you want super tremendous detail. And now it also has an 80-foot reach for the motion sensor on it. I haven't found where you don't want to get too far away. The closer the better always, but it does pretty decent within that 80-foot range for getting photos. Now the further away and the more movement they do, it's just going to miss deer a little bit more. So try to get it somewhat close. And I always like to have my cameras up high pointing down. Now, the Bushnell, I've gotten a little bit better quality photos out of it. I find that it is a little bit slower trigger speed or something. It just isn't quite as quick, I think, as the Spypoint. Here's some photos as we compare the day, night. Pretty decent. It's not crazy, but it works. Now, it states that it has an 80-foot night range with this camera. I don't think that's true, because here's a photo. I've got image of this deer. This is several days after since the last deer picture I've gotten. And I can see this deer trail in the snow behind this picture. And I didn't see that in other pictures before that. So it's missing stuff at a little bit further distance. So set up your cameras so they're directly on the trails and close enough so you keep within that 40, 50-foot range. And that's gonna get you the best results. So there you go. Keep those things in mind. I think they're both not gonna be super high quality, but they get the job done. They tell you what deer are there, and you can get an idea of when they're there. So that's pretty huge, and you're not pressuring those areas. So consider those things when you're going to sell. Everybody wants these high quality pictures. It just doesn't work that way. Like, eventually it'll get better and better, but we just want this best thing right away. And I think we gotta remember, what's the goal of having these cell cameras? Because that's what's important, is getting that intel and that most recent information. A couple best practices for either cell cam: keep settings simple, send images that work best for the device. If you got the solar panel, immediate images might work, but with what I've experienced is when I'm getting pictures once a day and keeping it on a good setting, it always seems to be more consistent in getting the images sent to you. I just think once you get everything dialed in, what I've learned is don't change anything. Once you change stuff, things get tripped up with sending images. It just seems like both cameras have issues with that. So keep that in mind. The Bushnell is a little better because it doesn't give you nearly as many options to set up as the Spypoint, and I think that's key. So less is more. Set your cameras up high, pointing down into focal points of where the travel is. That always seems to do pretty well. Both of these I've gotten dialed in, so it sends pretty consistently in the areas that I've used them right to your phone. You get okay photos. I would, for me personally, it is the Bushnell CelluCore 20. So this one doesn't have the solar panel on it. I have another one not far from here that does, and I recommend for either of the cameras that you have one of those solar panels on them. I think when the whole purpose, I think, for these cell cams in my land management and deer management practices is I'm trying not to put more pressure on the deer, putting more scent out into the woods. And so any way you can avoid having to come back and change cameras, or change SD cards, change batteries, minimize that as much as you can. So I would highly recommend either camera will work great, but have a solar panel with it. But one of the cool features that these Bushnells have is I can actually connect this to my Onyx app, and I can pull my photos from this camera right into a waypoint on my mapping software of OnX Hunt, and it's so awesome. Leave a comment and let me know what else you want to learn about, and maybe there's another camera you're curious about or certain things you want to know. But that's it for now. Be safe and see you out on the land.